Hi everyone, welcome back. Welcome to another live ukulele jam with me, Matt Stead. How are you all? Hope you're all doing fantastically well. I've missed you all. I love my Monday evening Kanikapilas, and when I don't do them, it feels like a real loss. So I hope you've all been keeping well and keeping warm in this autumn or summer, depending on which hemisphere you're in. And doing well. So we're going to have a very special night of Byrds tunes tonight. So we're going to do 3 tunes by the Byrds, and they're going to cover kind of all the kind of time periods and kind of different styles. So we've got one of their earlier ones where they're doing a cover. And those of you that know about the Byrds, and most of you will know they did a lot of covers of folk songs, particularly Bob Dylan, Woody Guthrie, and in this case, Pete Seeger. And then after that, we're going to do a classic Gene Clark pop song from the mid-1960s, which I absolutely love. I'm a massive Gene Clark fan. In fact, we almost called our son Gene, but we went for Bobby in the end after his granddad. And then finally, we've got that kind of unusual psychedelic period where we've got one of David Crosby's songs from Fifth Dimension. So really kind of different styles from the Byrds tonight, but real kind of classic pop songs as well. So hopefully you're gonna really enjoy that, guys. Aloha, Sheila. Aloha, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. So I'm back to it this week. So loads of exciting stuff coming up. So keep in touch on the website and on the mailing list if you'd like to know what's happening. For instance, today I did a brand new play along. So there's a gorgeous folk song by a band called Heron that I've always loved. And we're going to do this at a Kanikapila next week, but I thought it'd be really nice to do a play-along version. So I'm going to teach you how to do this. That video is available right now. You'll find it on Facebook, it's on the website and on YouTube. And all the members of my website, you get the free song sheet to go with it. So have a look at that. It's a beautiful song, really gorgeous song. That Heron recorded this whole album outside a cottage in Crediton, Devon in the 1970s. And if you listen to the original record, you can hear all the background noises like crickets and things like that, which is really, really lovely. I've got my next live lesson coming up this Wednesday as well. We're going to look at a beautiful Fijian song, Isolé, which is absolutely gorgeous. And we're going to talk about 2-part harmonies, where you take 2 notes that harmonise together, and we're going to look at these double stops that you can play all over the ukulele and sound really beautiful, and some sixths as well, which is really beautiful, really gorgeous. So we're going to really dig into that on Wednesday. That's 3:30 this Wednesday. All the sheets are available to buy for a £5, or if you're one of my members, you get them at no extra cost. So worth checking out that as well. So thanks, Tim. Yeah, you can always replay the classics. MattSteadukulele.com. If you have a look there, you'll find a whole archive of Kanikapilas, and I'm not exaggerating. There are literally hundreds of them, so you can go back and see them. And Tim, I'm going to do a full video lesson of Penny Lane as well. We did that in our last live lesson, but I'm going to start my Beatles course this week as well. I've been promising it for ages, and I'm finally going to get round to it. So we're going to start that this week, which is going to be super exciting. So again, something to keep an eye on the website. Cloudy Colorado. Oh no. Welcome in, Indrani. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, Esther, classic bit of 2-part harmony from your homework. Fantastic. Okay then, guys, let's get to tonight's song. By the way, you might have noticed a little counter up here. I think it's up here if I point in this direction. Harry sent me this really cool little picture, and Harry, you're gonna have to send me a new one of these each day, or I'm gonna have to work out how to update it. And we're gonna have how many days there are left to the ukulele cruise. If you're coming, I just cannot wait. It's gonna be absolutely fantastic. I'm super excited about it. If you're still interested, but you're kind of sat on the fence, get in touch with Harry and Donna, who are running the cruise, the ukulele part of the cruise soon, because they're down to the last few rooms, and after that the prices go up. So get in touch with them soon if you're thinking about it. Beatles, Fab Four, yay! Oh, thanks, Tim. You're an absolute gen. Yeah, recorded near Crediton, Mid Devon, near where I used to work in my library, actually, back in the day before I moved to London. Hi, Will. Good to see you as well. Hope you're doing well. Okay, so let's have a look at our sheets from tonight. So as I say, 3 classic Byrds songs. We have got a Simon and Garfunkel one as well, because every week I give you your people's choice, where you guys get to decide what we're doing for the final song, and we're going to do Sounds of Silence for that one, which is really, really lovely. So this is a beautiful song, originally written by Pete Seeger. I won't bore you with all of the details, but in Karen's fascinating facts in the back, and thanks Esther and Karen for all your work on the sheets again, as always, and Indrani for her check-in. Really, really appreciate it. In the fascinating facts, it talks about the fact that Pete Seeger wrote this because his record company were basically fed up of him writing protest songs, and they wanted something different. So this was his kind of reaction to that. He wasn't religious, but he took his favourite kind of passages that he found quite inspiring from the Bible and turned them into lyrics, which is what he did here. And it's kind of like, it almost works as almost like an unofficial protest song, I guess, in some ways, which is quite interesting. And the Byrds took it and they popified it. So they made it more upbeat, they added jangly guitars. They did change a couple of the chords as well, so D minors rather than Fs in there, which you'll spot, which was a common thing that the Byrds did. They used to add some kind of extra chords in to make things a little bit more pop-tastic. Now, in terms of the structure, it's relatively straightforward. We've got what we call a 1-4-3-5, and that's a really common chord progression. You might have heard of a 1-6-2-5, which is probably the most common progression used in music, coming from Gershwin. This one has a slightly different feel. Remember, in any key we number the chords 1 through to 7. This one's in the key of C, so C is 1, D2, E3, F4, G5, A6 and B7, and each of those chords has a particular type, and the 1st, the 4th and 5th are major chords. The 5th is sometimes played as a dominant, don't sweat that too much, but 1st, 4th and 5th major chords, 2nd, 3rd and 6th minor chords, and then the 7th, I've got to watch what I do here because I might give you a regesture if I'm not careful, is played as a diminished chord. That one's not come up in this song. So basically we set off on a journey using the 1 chord, the C chord. That kind of sets us on our way, sets the scene. Just your bog standard C chord here, like so. Then we tend to, when we're in a folk song, we tend to go to the 4 chord next, just because the 4 chord gives a bit of change without adding too much tension. Then we go to the 3 chord. Now that's important in this song because the 3 chord in any key is the saddest sounding chord. Whenever you hear this 3 chord come up, generally if it's a pop song, someone's girlfriend has left them or something bad has happened. It's the saddest of all chords. And it's only played briefly here on its way to a G chord. The reason it works so beautifully is if we have a look at this E minor, it's actually only 1 note different from a G. If I take this note here, this E note, and I replace it with a D note here, I'm going to have to rearrange my fingers to do it. But we get a G chord. So there's only 1 note difference between an E minor and a G chord. That's why they so smoothly go together. And that E minor just introduces a lovely touch of melancholy, which is really important in a song which could be a bit too pop-tastic if they're not careful. Now each of these chords is played for half a measure or 2 beats. So at its most simplest, if we were just strumming this one, we would have 2 C's, 2 F's, 2 E minors, 2 G's. And then we repeat that. 1, 4, 3, 5. Okay. Now, it's cool having those numbers there if you think about it, because you could do this song in any key using those numbers. That's how they work. I'm not going to do it now, but say we wanted to do this in the key of G. G would be one chord, right? The 4 chord would be G, A, B, C. The 3 chord would be a B minor, G, A, B minor. And then what have we got at the end? The 5 chord would be a D. So if I wanted to play it in the key of G, I could straight away, and that's the power of these numbers. If you start to get used to these numbers, it really helps you to work out how songs move. But once more in the key of C, we've got C, F. To go to that E minor, drop these 2 down and then lift your 3rd finger up. And then back to G. Let's just pull the lyrics up a second on my screen so I can sing that. To everything, turn, turn, turn. See how it's working? There is a season, turn, turn. Really lovely and pop-tastic, isn't it? Even though it's an old folk song, really gorgeous. Then we've got the 4 chord and a 1 chord again, just a really bog standard thing to do. 2 Fs, 2 Cs. A time to every. Then we've got one of the most common chord combinations of all time, a 2-5-1. The 2 chord segues beautifully into the 5, and the 5 chord creates a tension which makes us want to go back to the 1 chord. Think autumn leaves. Those autumn leaves drift by my window. It's a classic 2-5-1 combination. Here, because we're playing it in a real pop-tastic way, we're just going to do a bog standard D minor, a G rather than a G7, and just your bog standard C. Now here at the end we've got an NC. What does NC mean? No chord. Is it no chord? Well, it's a bit of a fib. Whenever it says no chord in music, it generally means 1 chord. So on that measure, we hit a C once, and then we pause. Okay, let's try a verse. Join in with me. We'll do a slow motion verse after 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. C, F, E minor, G, and again, C, F, E minor, G, minor, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Yeah, fantastic. You got it. Absolutely brilliant. Now, what the Byrds used to love to do, and this was really common amongst 60s bands, but the Byrds used it loads in their music, was they like to add suspended notes to a chord. It just kind of makes it more jangly and it adds an extra note to it, which is really, really lovely. And they tended to add a suspended 2nd or a suspended 4th. And on a C chord, adding a suspended 4th is really easy to do. When we add a suspended 4th, all it means is we take the 3rd note in the chord, so in a C chord, the 3rd note is an E. And instead of playing an E, we lift it up to an F. Okay, so instead of a C being played like this, C sus4, we just add that finger down there. Okay, and that's a lovely thing to do at the end of this chorus. When we get to C, try playing C, suspended, and off. I'll show you what it sounds like with the verse. Give me just a second. Just need to quickly do a message to tell my daughter to turn the TV down. Won't be a second. Okay, here we go. So if I put that together in a verse, that will sound something like this. 2, 3, 4, C, F, E minor, G, C, F, E minor, G, F, C, D minor, G, C. Isn't that lovely? That's suspended at the end. Fantastic, really nice. Now, in terms of the strum pattern, notice because we've got 2 chords per measure, what we want to do is we want to just keep it really simple. So I'm just strumming down strums on each of those chords. Occasionally I'll add a little up skip in between. And that just kind of makes it flow along lovely. Whenever I get to the chorus where I've got chords being played for a whole measure, what I like to do then is revert to that calypso strum. That's one of the most common strums played on guitar, and that's our classic down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. I kind of like to think of it phonetically as walk, running and running, walk, running and running, walk, running and running. A real classic simple strum that you can play. If you find that difficult, just strum up and down with a slight swing and that will work as well. Absolutely fine. Oh, quick question from Rebecca. So I used Nashville numbers to count up C, D, E and F and got 4 as a suspended note. No, that's exactly right, Rebecca. So the suspended fourth, if we turn any chord into a sus4, what we do is we add the 4th note. That was exactly the right thing to do. So yeah, you would add an F to a C chord. If you're playing a G chord and you want to add the sus4, you would take the 3rd note, G, A, B, and you would replace it with a C, the 4th note. Simple as that. So you could add a C down here instead of that one. And we're actually going to do that in a song in a little bit. So I promise I didn't set Rebecca off, but that was a perfect question, Rebecca, because yeah, we're going to do that later on, which is really great. sus2, Will was talking about a sus2. What we do is a very similar thing. Instead of replacing the 3rd with the 4th, we replace it as with the 2nd. Now, Joe, an add 4 is slightly different. So the difference between an add 4 and a suspended 4th is this. If you're not into the theory, guys, don't sweat it. We'll be back into playing the song in just a second. Imagine a chord as 3 notes, the 1st, the 3rd and the 5th. That's what makes up what we call a major triad, the triad of any main chord. What we do for a suspended 4th is we take that 3rd note and we push it up to a 4th. For a suspended 2 or a sus2, we pull it back and we replace the 3rd note with the 2nd. Now the difference is when we do an add 4, we keep the 3rd in. So an add 4 is 1, 2, 3, 4, or I should say 1, 3, 4, 5, shouldn't I, in terms of the chord notes. Whereas a suspended 4 is just 1, 4 and 5. So that's the difference. Just think of adds as you're adding a note into a chord that's already there. Suspended, you're kind of pushing that note up or down. That's the way I kind of think about it. Okay, so let's have a look at the verses. Now the verses are really interesting because this is just the most common chord combination of all time, I would say, or the most common 2 chords that go together. That's the 5 chord creating tension and the 1 chord creating resolution. All about that tension and resolution. So here, if I come in onto close cam, here we have the 5 chord, C, D, E, F, G. Just resolving back to the 1 chord. Notice I quite often keep that finger down to make a nice transition, because then we go back to the G, nice and easy. We do that 3 times. And then the end of this verse over here, notice this F, C, D minor, G, all of the rest of it is the same as the end of the chorus. And again, if you want to add that sus chord, it sounds really, really lovely. I'll play a chorus through so you can see how it works. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep. Go, fantastic. So classic, tension, resolved, tension, resolved. bringing us back to one. Really cool, right? Beautiful chord combination, I think, which is really lovely. So yeah, so end of the verse is the same as the chorus basically. So think of it as that. Oh yeah, end of the chorus. I see what you mean, Indrani. Yeah, that's it. Oh, you played it on an auto harp. I've never had to go on an auto harp. I've always wanted to. They look so much fun. One day I'll get my hands on one. I need to go in the Hobgoblin music store or something. Okay, we got this. Now, if you want to have a go at a solo on this one, after the third chorus even, we're going to do an instrumental chorus and verse. So that just means we play the chords to a chorus and a verse, just like we do all the rest of the song. And you can use the C major or A minor pentatonic to solo along to this. Now, let me just bring in, it'll only take seconds, scales reference. These sheets are available for free for you to download at any time, link in the description. Here's the C major and A minor pentatonic. So notice C major, we can play open C on the C string, 2nd fret for D, open E, 3rd fret for G, open A, 3rd fret for C. That's your classic C major pentatonic. Notice when I play it up and down, it sounds almost like it has a flavour of the East. And that's because a lot of pentatonics were used in a lot of Far Eastern music, Japanese music especially, and Chinese music. So that's why it has that kind of flavour to it. Notice we can also do the A minor pentatonic, which is brilliant because it's all our dots. If I tip my uke this way so you can see my dots, we've got an open C, open A even, 3rd fret for C, 5th fret for D, 7th fret up here for E, 10th fret way up here for G, and then we can go up to the 12th fret for A again. So it's all the dots. That's really useful in terms of soloing. And we can also play all the dots on the E string. Just avoid this 7th fret. Remember, we need to skip up to the 8th fret on this E string. But otherwise, you can use all your dots again, which is really fantastic. Carol bass players, they can use pentatonics, but they tend to play chord tones, bass players. So they tend to play the notes that make up a chord. So when we're playing a C chord, the bassist will play either a C, E or a G, or they'll play some form of melody that they've made up, or some notes in between. But yeah, they don't tend to use pentatonics quite as much as we do when we're soloing. Okay, so let's have a look. I'll just do a quick version of that so you can see how it will sound. You don't have to do anything super fancy pants on this. Let me just put my speaker on so it's connected. There we go. So you could just noodle about on the A string like this. That's just playing the dots. So have a load of fun. Just shows you there that just hitting those dots, and if you go wrong, just hit a note that's next to it and you'll be absolutely fine. You can massage those notes up and down. All right, let's give it a go then. So we're going to play that, as I say, after the 3rd chorus. So we're going to go chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, then an instrumental chorus, verse, and then chorus, verse again. So you can't get lost on this one. Just play chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse till the end of time and you'll be absolutely fine. Have loads of fun with this one. And is that a brilliant picture of David Crosby? I think we've got Roger McGuinn in a minute. Okay, let's give it a go then. Let's do a chorus instrumentally just to get us going. So that's our C to F to get us started. All right, I think I'll stay here. I think I'll just come up a little bit. Yeah, that'll work. Here we go. So chorus instrumentally and then chorus with the lyrics. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again. everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn. It's a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time for every purpose under heaven. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn. A time to every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn. A time to every purpose under heaven. A time of love, a time of hate, a time of war, a time of peace, a time that you may embrace, a time to refrain from embracing. Try it solo, or just strum a chorus. Hit those pentatonic notes, go on. Now a verse, keep those solos going. Bring them to a close here and come back in on this C. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn. A time to every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rent, a time to soul, a time for love, a time for hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late. Yeah, fantastic. There we go. Let us know how you got on with that. Isn't that just a brilliant, brilliant pop song? Of course, an old folk song, but just kind of redeveloped a little bit by the Byrds to make it utterly pop-tastic and beautiful. Joseph, oh hi, Ben says hi. Hi Ben, hope you're doing well over there. So, and he's bought you a uke. Fantastic. I love it, Joseph. Absolutely brilliant. Now, your dad is an absolute star. So if you're anything like him, you're going to enjoy your time on ukulele and make loads of friendships and have a brilliant time doing it. So hi, Ben. Hi, Joseph. That's really, really lovely to hear. That's made my day, that has. Thanks, Idrani. Yeah, isn't it great? I kind of love how the Byrds were able to take these classic folk songs and then really pop them up. It's the same of course, their really famous version of that is where they did Bob Dylan's Mr. Tambourine Man, and they really kind of made it flow, didn't they, and made it jangly and beautiful. And this is a really good example as well. I think it's fantastic. And interestingly, I read in Karen's Fascinating Facts that Pete Seeger was really into this song. You might think, oh no, they took my beautiful folk song and they turned it into a disposable pop song. But he loved it. He thought it sounded great with all the jangly 12-string guitars and everything. So that's really nice to know, isn't it, that he enjoyed it as well. So brilliant. Good, Jenny. Absolutely fantastic. That is great to hear. That's what we like to hear. Fantastic. Brilliant. Well, let's strike whilst the iron's hot and have a look at another one. So we're going to do a different kind of version of the Byrds here. Oh, Indrani says this wakes teenage memories. We had a cassette of 60s music that we listened to in a car, and this was on it. Oh, I love it. My first kind of proper records, if you like, were cassettes too, as well, Indrani. So in the 80s, we had lots of cassettes that we took on family holidays. Oh, thanks, Esther. Thank you very much. I'm so chuffed you can make it as well, Esther. Hope you do well. Yeah, we had loads of cassettes growing up. I used to get my brother was obsessed with the Pet Shop Boys, so I remember listening to loads of Pet Shop Boys on cassette. And I think one of my first albums was one of those Now compilations on cassette as well. Oh, amazing. It sounds great on 12 string, doesn't it, Will? All the Byrds stuff does. It makes me want to buy a Rickenbacker. If I had all the money in the world, I think I'd buy myself a 12 string Rickenbacker and I'd be very, very happy. So this was early Byrds, where they took these folk songs and they made them slightly more pop-tastic. Well, we're fast forwarding only a year, but a year makes a big difference, doesn't it, in pop music? And the Byrds started to move on, and they used the songwriter and Byrds member, guitarist Gene Clark a lot. And mid-period Byrds I think of as the golden period for Gene Clark music. Gene Clark had a real great hand in writing very catchy pop music, but also some really, really beautiful stuff too. He also had a band called Dillard and Clark, and loads afterwards, where he wrote some really good kind of old-timey, almost bluegrassy style music with lots of banjo in it, which is really great. The two Dillard and Clark albums are just amazing. If you haven't already listened to them, look it up, because they're absolutely fantastic. Indrani, I bought myself a cassette recorder recently. I've got back into it. I've been digging out all my old tapes. Some of them sound a bit wonky, but it's really nice to listen to them in analogue. That sounds really hipster, but I'm loving it. Oh, thank you, Kavina. That's really lovely to hear. Yeah, good solo. Good on you. So now, as I say, we're into this mid-period Gene Clark stuff. So they're starting to write their own songs. This was the first hit for the Byrds, and it was actually the B-side to... I wrote it down. Which one was it? It was the B-side to... Where is it? It's disappeared. It was the B-side to the longest question in the period of time. All I want to do in 1965. So it was the B-side to that, but this one became a real radio hit, which is really, really interesting. Now let's have a look at some of the chords that happen in this one. This one's in the key of G, so we have to count up from G. In the key of G, there's one sharp, and it's the F. So if we count up, G is 1, A minor is 2, B minor 3, 4 is C, 5 is D, 6 is E minor, and the 7 is an F sharp diminished. But actually what Gene Clark did, which was what a lot of musicians did in the 60s, they took that 7th chord and they flattered it. It happens a lot in indie music as well, gives it more a blues quality, which is really nice because an F is a lot easier to play than an F sharp as well. So that's quite helpful as well. Now, in terms of the actual chords that make this up, you've probably heard of that classic 1-6-2-5. I got rhythm. That would be it in the key of G. Used in loads and loads of pop songs. Well, this is kind of like an inverted 1-6-2-5. It's those chords, but in a different order. So we have the one chord play for quite some time, and we're going to play about with those suspended notes in a minute. Sort of, we're going to really ham it up like... So we get that lovely jangly Byrdsy sound. But just for now, just get used to playing that G. And we stay on there for a whole 4 measures. I like to just do this one with a down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up. Think of that phonetically as walk, walk, running, running, walk, walk, running, running, walk, walk, running, running, down, 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 up, down, up. So a whole 4 measures of G will look and sound something like this. 2, 3, 4. Then we have the tension of the 5 chord. That melancholy of the 6 chord, we need a minor chord to make it a little bit melancholy so it's not too cloying. And then, unusually, this is a real Gene Clark thing to do. And this is something that the Beatles used quite a lot. That 2 chord wouldn't normally come in at that point. And it really perks the ears up. It's really cool. Let me play that verse for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then D. E minor for 1. The A, isn't that lovely? Really nice, classic Gene Clark chords. That is really great, having that 2 chord come in at the end. Oh, amazing. Yeah, they really were, Tim. I got really obsessed with their kind of, you know, like the notorious Byrd brothers when they got a little bit into kind of art music. I love all that stuff. When I was going to say David Crosby came to the fore, but he was leaving the band at that point, wasn't he? But yeah, I love all those later records and the Flying Burrito Brothers stuff. Really cool. So let's have a look at this this chorus then that happens next. It's a similar thing. We start with the 1 chord. Then we go to the 4 chord. Remember, that just creates a sense of movement or change. And we go to its relative minor, the A minor, the 2 chord. That's a relative minor of C, not the relative minor of G. It just, an A minor really commonly follows that C chord. Then we just go back to the 1 chord resolution, tension of 5, movement of 4, and some more tension at the end. All right, let me do a verse and a chorus so you can hear how it sounds for that, and then I'll show you the suspended chords. Okay, so that will sound something like this. The reason why, oh, I can't say, have to let you go, baby, right away. After what you did, I can't stay on. I'll probably feel a whole lot better when you're gone. When you're gone. And the interlude, we just play a G chord for a time with that suspended chord, which is really nice. Now, Gene Clark used to like breaking the rules, and he copied a lot from the Beatles. The Beatles used to do these chords as well. Really, it's a really unusual thing to finish on a 2 at the end of a chorus or a verse. You'd expect it to be the 5 chord for tension, but it kind of perks up the ears. You're almost like, what on earth is going on, just for a measure, which is really nice. And Gene Clark used to do that a lot in both his solo stuff and with the Byrds. And we have that here as well. Choruses 2 and 3, they're almost the same, right? They look exactly the same at the start. We have that G. And then at the end, probably feel a whole lot better when you're gone. We have an F. Oh, when you're gone. Now that shouldn't work, that F. But Gene Clark finds a way to make it work. It's very Beatlesy, that chord as well, isn't it, at the end? They like to use those flatted 7th chords. Really, really great. So brilliant, brilliant chords. Now, it sounds good, but does it sound Byrds enough? Yeah, I would say no. We need to add some extra notes. Now, there's an instantaneous way to add jangle to your chords by using those suspended notes that we talked about. And it's almost as if I planned this, because that conversation we had about those suspended notes is really useful. Because what we're going to do to jangle up this G chord is we're going to use a sus2. Now, a sus2, a G sus2, we take the 3 in the G chord. What do I mean by that? And don't worry if this theory hurts your brain, I'll show you how to play it. But think of a G chord as G, B and D. That's D. That's your major triad. So G, not A, B, not C, D. The 1, 3, and 5. Now to turn that into a suspended 2, we take that B note, the third note, and it's the third note in the key of G, G, A, B, just like that. 1, 2, 3, and we push it back to the 2. So instead of playing a B, we're going to play an A. How do we do that? Well, just take your G chord, which looks like this. Here's a B note. And we know that because this is the A string, A sharp, B. And all we do is we take that B and we turn it into an A just by lifting our finger off. So G chord, G sus2, G chord. Now to turn a chord into a sus4, as we talked earlier about that C chord, we take that B note and instead of taking it down to an A, we take it up to a C. There's a B, there's a C. So G chord, G sus4, put your little finger on the 3rd fret of that A string. How cool is that? So G, G sus2, G, G sus4. And you can use these all over the place. I liked, whenever I come on a G chord and I'm on it for a long time, I'll just kind of add those suspended chords, suspended notes at will, something like this. It just makes it sound jangly and nice. Now, if you want to do it in the exact order, I think it's Roger McGuinn that does this on his 12-string guitar. I probably got that wrong, but I think it's Roger McGuinn. What he does is he plays G, G sus2, G, G sus4, G, G sus2, and back to G. It will sound like this. If you think of that finger as 2 and this finger as 4, it will sound like this. G, 2, 4, whoops, 3 I should say. 2, 3, 2, coming off, okay? One more time in slow motion. Lift. Isn't that lovely? And if you play that at tempo, it sounds really gorgeous like this. Now we're talking. Now it sounds like the Byrds, right? It's got that kind of lovely jangle quality to it. Will, if I was going to do this on guitar, I'd probably play us in the key of D, so I could do that on a G chord. So on your nice 12-string, that you've probably already done that, I bet. You can get that lovely suspended note going. Okay, so that's kind of had that suspended. Now we can do that as an interlude. You don't have to do those notes exactly in that order. Just practice lifting your fingers off and on and see what you can come up with, which is really great. Totally agree, by the way, Tim. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, those suspended notes. It's total Byrds, isn't it? It just has that jangle. Now you can do that as your interlude. So anytime we've done a chorus, and we put a little interlude after the chorus. But you can also, if you like, and this is what I like to do, you can also include it anytime you play a G chord. So on the verse here, there's a G, isn't there, for 4 measures. There's one for 2 measures here on the chorus. I'll show you on a verse. It'll sound really nice like this. The reasons why, oh, I can't say, have to let you go, baby. See how it just adds to the jangliness? And even in the chorus, after what you did, I can't stay on. It just adds to that jangliness. So have a little experiment with that. It sounds really fantastic. Have a little play, see what you can come up with. Now this one we're going to do a little instrumental, and we're going to do it after the second chorus. This one's really straightforward in terms of structure as well. We go verse, chorus, interlude. Remember, interlude just means play G. verse, chorus, interlude. Then we're going to do an instrumental where, guess what? We're going to do verse, chorus, interlude, and you can solo over the top. And then we're going to finish with a verse and a chorus. And you can even do an interlude at the end of that chorus if you want. So just think verse, chorus, interlude all over again. And Indrani, you're dead right. The scale that we're going to use to solo over the top of this one is going to be the G major pentatonic, because we're in the key of G, or it's relative minor, E minor. I'll bring those reference sheets on so I can show you that. Oh, too far. There we go. Yeah, you beat me to it. Now, G minor pentatonic is way up on the C string, starting up here at the, 7th fret. And we go up to the 9th fret for an A note. We come back here for this B note here on the 7th fret of the E string, up to this high note up here, this D note. We come to the 7th fret back here for this E and a G. So in terms of numbers, starting from the C string, 7, 9, 7, 10, 7, 10. There's your My Girl riff, okay? You can also pair it up with the E minor pentatonic, which is 4 to 7, 5 to 7, 5 to 7. If you can start to learn some of these shapes, it makes soloing really nice and easy. And if you wanted to have a go at that, that would sound something like this. Let me just find it. Here we go. Have a little noodle around, see what you can come up with yourself, and enjoy it. See if you can hit some of those notes. You haven't got to hit as many notes as that. You can hit more, you can hit less. Just really enjoy it, and try and think of those as shapes. It's really useful for your soloing if you can get used to those shapes. Eventually you want to kind of expand them out so you're not just playing the same notes up and down, but it's such a good place to start. For sure, absolutely. Joe's just asking, when soloing, what note sounds best to end on? A leading note into the next chord. Yeah, if you can think that quick enough, that is a really nice thing to do. So when you go into the next chord, you could do the flatted 7th of one chord into the 3rd of the next chord. You could think like that. You could think more literally. If you're going to hit the root note of a D chord, you could play a C sharp moving into it, or the C before it is another good thing to do. So have a little experiment. I like to just find little kind of melodies that work in there, and I'll quite often combine that with the rhythm from the verses. So at the end of a solo, I might kind of, you know how it goes, feel a whole lot better when you're gone. I might not play the notes in that order, but I might use that rhythm. Feel a whole lot better when you're gone. So you can kind of get that rhythm. Feel a whole lot better when you're gone. You can kind of use that to add to your rhythm, which is a really cool thing to do as well. Just have a little experiment with that. See what you can come up with, and just enjoy yourself. And sometimes just a couple of notes will sound really fantastic. If I just concentrate on maybe that little rectangle, look down here in this G. Don't feel like you've got to go crazy and do a million notes, especially as you're getting used to soloing. Just find those little kind of linked notes together, like those little rectangles, and really enjoy yourself. So let's give it a go. I'm going to take one last slurp of very cold coffee. Made an hour ago, but it's fine. This is my dad mug. I've been on holiday of these little rascals, so it's my dad mug to remember them. They're only in the next room. Let's go. All right then. So G chord to get us going. Now, if you want to practice those sus notes, here's the rhythm. I'm going to use that as my interlude between the parts. All right, so let's give it a go. Let me just bring up my song sheet so I'm ready to go. Yeah, cool. Here we go. Let's do that as an intro. 1, 2, 3, 4. The reasons why, oh, I can't say. I have to let you go, baby. Right away, after what you did, I can't stay on. I'll probably feel a whole lot better when you're gone. When you're gone, baby, for a long time you had me believe that your love was all mine, and that's the way it would be. But I didn't know you were putting me on, and I'll probably feel a whole lot better when you're gone. F now. Oh, when you're gone. Solo. Hit those pentatonics. Or strum the verse with me. Now chorus, keep that solo going. End this chorus with an F chord in just a minute. Here it comes. Now F. Verse now. Now I've gotta say, it's not like before. Gonna play your games anymore. After what you did, I can't stay on, and I'll probably feel a whole lot better when you're gone. F, when you're gone. Yeah, fantastic. Let me know how you got on, guys. That was a proper jangly Byrds, wasn't it, that one? And if nothing else, if you just take from it those lovely suspended chords that you can add to any G chord. A fantastic way to add a little bit of interest and a little bit of jangliness to any G chord. Have a little experiment with that, which is really, really nice. And of course, again, you could experiment with playing this one in a different key if it doesn't suit your vocals. Try taking it down to the key of C. That's the brilliant thing about using these Nashville numbers. Okay, so let's just take a quick break, see how everyone's doing. Can I get one of the rascals to make some fresh coffee? I probably should, to be honest, Esther, but I think any more coffee, I think I won't sleep tonight anyway. You know what my brain's like. I find it difficult to switch it off. I think Sandy might be making me beans on toast for my late tea, though, so I can't complain. So a different kind of tea. Cool. Oh, don't worry, Johnny, you'll soon pick it up. Definitely worth sticking with this one and practicing those sus2s and sus4s because they sound great. They sound great when you get them. Couple of reminders, folks, just whilst we're on our halfway break. If anyone wants to support the running costs of me doing my Kanikapilas, I try and keep them free, and I always will actually keep my Kanikapilas free. But if anyone wants to send me some funds just to help with that, you can PayPal me at paypal.me/the Ucream. So that's paypal.me/the Ucream. And thank you so much to those that have supported me over the months and years. I really gratefully appreciate it. If you're enjoying this and you'd like to learn more about my teaching, just head over to mattsteadukulele.com. There you'll find 9 courses. There'll be 10 when I've started the Beatles one, which is really exciting. First Beatles lesson going up this Friday. I've got 10 courses. They're all sequential, all planned out specifically to help with your learning in a particular order. And as well as the main 3, beginners, intermediate and next steps, I've got some specialist ones. So there's uke theory, there's fingerstyle ukulele, getting into reading tablature and music, there's jazz and blues. There's a uke TLC where you can learn how to restring your uke and how to take care of your uke, humidifying it, lemon oil, all that sort of stuff. So lots of stuff, and there's even a baritone one on there as well, which is great. Esther, you know Matt Dalberg, who played the festival this summer. He posted last week a picture of his beans on toast in America, and I said it was pretty good, but he didn't put enough butter on the toast. But I love beans on toast. The musical fruit. I absolutely couldn't live without beans on toast. It got me through my student days, and I think it's still a habit I have when I can't be bothered to cook properly. Oh, thanks, Joe. That's really good to hear. I was really passionate about that course. I really went to town on that one. So that's really lovely to hear, guys. And just a quick reminder, live lesson this Wednesday, 3:30. We're going to look at adding beautiful 2-part harmony to a song, and we're going to look at a gorgeous Hawaiian, not Hawaiian actually, a Fijian chord melody, which I'm really excited about, which is going to be really super. Esther's just reminded me as well. Yeah, right. Oh, I used to love Asterix. Esther's just reminded me, and Karen was mentioning this as well. We've had a brilliant flurry of people joining the Facebook group, which is fantastic. It's called Uke Students Hangout, and we meet up all the time on there, post videos of our progress. We have monthly challenges. I tell you about all the news that's going on, and we share memes and all sorts of fun stuff. Well worth checking out. If you'd like to join and you haven't already, just make sure you answer the questions as you join. A lot of people don't see the last one, which says, do you agree to the rules? And it's not by anyone's fault, they just haven't scrolled down far enough. It's just really important, because that if you don't click that, you get automatically booted out. It's not us being mean, it's just we're trying to avoid all those horrible spammers that you get on these Facebook groups. So it's for everyone's security. So if you haven't joined up, it's well worth checking out. Just look up Learn Ukulele with Matt on Facebook or Uke Students Hangout. Just make sure you click you agree to the rules when you join up. It's a really fun place, and I've been really buzzing. I vote before I went away on holiday, we had a lovely challenge, and the videos that came through were absolutely fantastic. You guys raise the bar all the time, and everyone's welcome. You don't have to be like an accomplished player. You can be a total beginner, and we support everyone. And don't forget, 117 days to the cruise, 170 days. Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao. I've already booked one of my excursions to go and see the flamingos. So come along if you can. It's going to be fantastic. I'm teaching on all of the sea days. We're going to have Kanikapilas, lessons, all sorts of stuff going on, which is going to be super exciting. And then you get to explore the Caribbean islands as well. So all the details of that, they're on the Ukulele Festival of Great Britain site. So just look up Ukulele Festival of Great Britain and click on the cruise, and you can learn all about about it. All sorts of cool things. We've still got some places on the Christmas retreat this year as well, if anyone's interested. We've got Will Grove White of the Ukulele Orchestra of Great Britain teaching. We've got the fantastic Victoria Vox coming all the way from America. And we've got our resident tutor, Sam Muir. And this is the first Christmas ukulele retreat. So I've been told Santa Claus is going to visit. We're going to have roaring log fires, traditional Christmas food, Christmas songs. It's gonna be wonderful. I cannot wait. So that's the 9th to the 11th of December. If anyone's interested, check it out. Still some tickets available, and you can stay on site as well. It's really nice. We even hang out in the bar until the wee hours playing ukulele. It's fantastic. Come along if you can. Thanks, Carol. Really appreciate that. That's absolutely lovely to hear. Thank you, guys. Thanks. Okay, so let's have a look at our last bird song. We've still got one more after this, our People's Choice, where we're going to do a bit of Simon and Garfunkel. So we've done early birds where we had kind of them doing covers of folk songs. We've done mid-period birds where they started to write their own music, and we have that Beatles-esque Gene Clark kind of beautiful melodies going on, which is lovely as well. Yeah, right, Shell. I've never tried that one yet. And then after that, we go to the Byrds start to get a little bit psychedelic, and they released an album called The Fifth Dimension. Had songs like The Fifth Dimension and 8 Miles High on and all that sort of stuff. Well, they started to get a little bit experimental. And this one, I'm not going to lie. I think probably David Crosby had been possibly smoking something when he wrote this, because the song's called What's Happening, and it's all about not knowing what's going on. And if you listen to the original, he bursts out into laughter halfway through. So I suspect there might have been something imbibed when he wrote this one. But it's a really, really great, simple song with a really interesting chord combination to it. We're in the key of G again. So G is going to be our 1 chord, setting us off on the journey. So as expected, G major chord to get us going. Then we go to the 3 chord. Now in the key of G, that 3 chord should be a minor chord, shouldn't it? Remember the 2nd and the 3rd are minor chords, G, A, B. But this time it's played as a 7th, a B7. Now you can play a B7 like this, which is a bit tricky as a bar chord, like an A7 that's been moved up. But the cool thing about a B7 is you can also play it like this, 4, 3, 2, 0 from nose to toes. That means 4th fret, 3rd fret, 2nd fret, and nothing on the A string. Now that's a lovely B7 because it's often paired up with the E minor, which it's 5 above. And that's exactly what happens here. So after our B7, we move this down and we come here to B7. Esther, please tell me you didn't make Florence custard and fish fingers. So B7 down to E minor there, which is really lovely. Now the reason that that's working, and that's that B7, which shouldn't fit there, right? It should be a B minor. The reason it's working is that any chord, you can play a dominant 7th. That just means a type of 7th chord with no major or minor in front of it. And you can play it, you can play the dominant 7 that's 5 above the chord that follows. So what's 5 above? E, if we're to count it from E, E, F, G, A, B. It's a B. So that B7 always leads into an E minor. James Hill often calls these chord twins. These chords that are paired together on the fretboard like this and work beautifully up and down. Oh, Joe, you're quite right. I'm so sorry. I didn't spot that. B7 is noted incorrectly on the chord sheets. Yeah, you're dead right. There should be a number on there, say a number 2, and we've accidentally left it off. So yeah, when you're doing this B7, if you follow the chord box here, it looks like this, doesn't it? 3, 3, 2, 1 off. But just make sure it's moved up here. 4, 3, 2 off. Phew, Esther. Phew. So that B7, don't play it like this, like it shows in the box. Just go 1 higher. This is where it is. And then to get to the E minor, just drag each of those fingers down. Then we've got that flatted 7 chord again, which is really, really unusual, really Beatles-esque. Used a lot in indie music and rock and roll. It just creates a blues quality at the end of a line, which is really fantastic. And it's often played in place of the 5 chord, which is what happens here. So we've got an F chord. The reason it's called the flatted 7 is that in the key of G, every key has a certain amount of sharps and flats. And the F in the key of G should be an F sharp. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. But we're playing it as an F, so we call it the flatted 7. Again, don't sweat the theory too much. So the verses, this is pretty much the whole song, to be honest. It goes like this, G. I don't know. B7, just drop everything down. What's going on? And then over to the F like that. So really, really simple, but really, really cool. Let's try verse. Let me try a verse. Let me just bring that up. Here we go. So just get the lyrics. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know who you think you are. Again. I don't know what you're doing here. 2 of those Fs now. And then the interlude, we just go to a G major chord. And we do that for a whole 4 beats. Feel the tension of that. It should feel like a building tension that makes you want to go back to a verse, which is exactly what happens. Let's try that one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know who you think you are. I don't know what you're doing here. Then D. Then we go to another verse. I don't know what's going on here. And so on and so forth. It just goes round and that. It's a really, I just think it's a really cool, sweet little song. Just really interesting chords. Really great. Now, you'd imagine, because we're in the key of G, you'd imagine, just like the other songs we've done in the key of G, that we would play the G major pentatonic or the E minor pentatonic on this one. But because that D chord is played on its own without any other chords around it, if you play the G major scale or E minor scale, it kind of sounds out of context because you don't ever hear the G chord or an E minor chord or any one of those other delightful chords from the key of G. You just hear a D chord again and again and again. So what we're going to do when we go to this D chord, if you want to do a little solo, and you don't have to, I'm just going to strum a D chord because I like to keep the strumming going, but if you want to do a little rudimentary solo, you can use the key of D to solo in. So you'll notice down here we've got the notes written out right there so you can follow them. So we've got 2nd fret here on the C string for D, then we go up to 4th fret E, we've got F sharp down here, 2nd fret, G, A, then we've got B, C sharp and D. So that's your D major scale. And if you want, you can extend it up the fretboard with a few extra notes like that. Now what I like to do on this one, because we're playing the 5 chords, and I'm not going to get into modes because it's going to hurt people's brains, which is absolutely fine, and cause too much to think about. But what I like to do, the 5 chord is you can play a scale that's based off that 5 chord, something called mixolydian mode. And the only difference between the major scale and the mixolydian mode is that 7th note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, is flattened. So instead of this, you get this. Now, it sounds weird on its own out of context, but when you play it over a D chord, it sounds really nice. So if you want, instead of playing that C, flatten it to a B on this, and it sounds really, really great. Now, somewhere I've done a backing track of me just playing D. On the original, it sounds something, they just kind of start high up the fretboard on this D major scale. And they just kind of noodle up and down on it. That's all that happens. So after a verse, I don't know what's going on. You get this kind of... Whoops. See, teachers go wrong sometimes. I'll try hitting the right notes. That's the B note. Notice the Byrds hit the B and the C. So just something that if you want to, you can do a little lick there, or a little kind of melody if you want, or you can just hum the melody like I do and strum along. Now, dead simple this one, nothing fancy pants in terms of the structure again. In fact, it's probably the easiest one of the lot in terms of structure. We're just going to go verse, interlude, verse, interlude, verse, interlude, verse, interlude, just again and again. That means this, until we finish. So really, really simple. Just really enjoy those unusual exotic chords, and let's have fun. And I'm not going to do the bursting out into laughter like he does on record, but if anyone does laugh at this one, it's absolutely fine. I won't be offended. Okay, here we go then. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know who you think you are. I don't know what you're doing here. And the D. Have a little lick. Here we go again. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how it's supposed to be. I don't have the vaguest notion whose it is or what it's all for. I don't know. I'm not crying, laughing mostly, as you can see. That's it. It's such a sweet little song. I just think it's great, fantastic. Yeah, exactly right, Tim. Yeah, makes sense. And there was all the student riots and stuff, wasn't there, happening at that time, I guess. So it was quite a lot going on, and there were all those happenings and stuff. Who knows? Perhaps we'll never know the true answer. But I think it's a great song. I love that B7 going to that E minor. I just think it's such a cool sounding chord combination. And Fifth Dimension is quite a busy album in a lot of senses. There's quite a lot of craziness on it, and I love the stripped back nature of this song. It just really kind of gives the album a bit of a breath at that point, which is really fantastic. So yeah, Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, totally, totally. Thanks, Tim. Thanks, mate. Okay, so we've got one more song, and this one is your people's choice. So, by the way, yeah, isn't that a great drawing? Fantastic. Roger McGuinn, that is, with his brilliant 60s rectangular glasses. Esther, as well as doing all the brilliant tables and everything with these chords, she does the illustrations. They're just absolutely fantastic, aren't they? And then, of course, if you skip to the back, you've got Karen's amazing, fascinating facts here. And I found these so useful and interesting, Karen. So thank you. I love your fascinating facts each week. So you guys are absolutely absolute stars in my world and mean the world to me. Thank you for all your help. And everyone's so appreciative of everything you do. I see it in the comments each week, which is really, really lovely to see. So yeah, for what it's worth. Yeah, I know. Well, maybe I'll have to hit Kanikapila. That would be cool, wouldn't it? Yeah. Now this drawing of Esther's is interesting. It's Simon and Garfunkel, but it's actually the characters from the Detectorists. If anyone's seen the Detectorists, they'll get the joke. There's a rival metal detector group, and the two members are this. Is it Ralph? And I can't remember the other one's name. They look like Simon and Garfunkel, and there's all these lyrics that Mackenzie Crook gets in his digs at them. It's just brilliant. And funny enough, I'm watching the BBC series Ghosts. I don't know if anyone's seen it. Absolutely brilliant comedy where this couple move into a house and there's all these ghosts and only one of them can see them, and it's written by the people who did Horrible Histories. So some of my English students will remember Horrible Histories, especially if they've got kids, and these guys, they wrote the BBC comedy Ghosts, but they're also in Detectorists. So it's not a bad drawing of Simon and Garfunkel. It's a very good drawing of the guys from the Detectorists, just so you know. So, Sound of Silence. What a beautiful, beautiful song. Now, this one's really interesting. We're in the key of D minor. It's a minor key. We still have similar things going on with the chords here. And this one is largely a playoff between two chords. The 6th chord in the key of D minor and the 3 chord. That's a B flat and an F. And if you look through, apart from D minor and the odd C, look what happens when we get to the second line. B flat, F, F, B flat, F, F, B flat, F. It's largely based on those 2 chords, and it creates a lovely sense of movement, which is really great. The reason that works really well is that B flat is 4 above an F. It loves to resolve to an F. It sounds fantastic. So that's why those 2 chords fit together beautifully. The 1 chord is where it finally feels resolved. So we start off on 1 chord and we end on the 1 chord. And the C is acting a little bit like the 4 chord does in a major key. It just creates a kind of a sense of change without having too much drama. So that's what's going on there, really. You just got the resolution of the 1, movement of that 7th chord, and it's just play off between 2 other chords, B flat and F. So really kind of simple. What makes it difficult is that these chords come in at unusual times. So for instance, you'll notice in this second line, we've got half a measure of B flat, half a measure of F, and then another measure of F, so 6 beats. So it can take a real bit of getting used to when those chords change. But hopefully if you've listened to the original, you'll kind of feel when those chords are going to change. And I know it sounds really woolly, but there's something to be said for listening to the original, really getting a sense of those change. You know when you're really starting to understand music, when you can listen to a song and then it feels the right time to change a chord. You can also follow my fingers as well. I'll go through it and I'll show you how to change as we go. Now we've got an intro and an outro, which is a really beautiful and simple little riff if you want to have a go at it. What we do is we put a finger, it could be any finger really, on the 2nd fret of the C string for this D note here. I'm just going to move this temporarily out. Oh no, I need it for the tablature. Let me bring it back in. I'll just scooch over. I want to show you what's happening with the fingers on my right hand. I'll do it like this. If I come back a bit. Yeah, just about squeeze in. Look. So we hit this C string with our thumb, 2nd fret. And then I like to just use my index finger. You can use your 3rd if you find it more comfortable, to to just hit the open A string. And then what I do is I bring my thumb down to the open E string and I hit the A again. So I just use my thumb and my finger like this. Isn't that lovely, that cycle? And you can do that twice. Or you could play it for a little bit longer. I like to end it on the D note. Hello darkness, my old friend. And then I come in on the C. Now, because those notes are kind of suggesting a D minor chord, if you are doing this riff as an intro, hello darkness, my old, come in on the C, not the D minor at the start of this bit. It's almost like it's replacing the D minor. So I like to play that riff 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I hit that C chord, which is really lovely. And that starts the song proper, which is lovely. Yeah, Sheila! Yay! Happy dance! That's exactly what I want from Kanikapila. The phrase Kanikapila, it comes from a Hawaiian jam, basically, where people get together informally and they play music. And my original plan was to really keep it to very simple songs, 3-chord songs, so that people could start ear training. But just like anything, eventually that gets boring. So we've actually done some quite complex songs, but hopefully just by introducing the sense of the Nashville numbers and counting across the chords, it will help you play by ear. And it's a fantastic skill to have if you can get it. And it's one of the things that I love about Hawaiian players, that they don't rely on sheet music. They can just jam with each other, which is a fantastic thing to do. So if you're picking up those little bits of skills, that's awesome. That's music to my ears, which is lovely. Now, strumming on this one, we're going to keep really simple. We're just going to do straight 8s. That means quick down strums. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Why is it called straight 8s? Well, each of those beats is an 8th note or an 8th beat. That means if you're counting to 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, which if you think about it is 8. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So 8th notes in America, we know them as quavers, just quick down strums. Like that. Okay, really, really simple. You can use the nails of your right hand, or whatever hand you strum with. Or you can use the pad of your thumb. Just keep it really simple, okay? And each one of those measures, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, let's play for that length. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so let's go through one of the verses really slowly. I'll come in on close cam so you can see what's happening. So we start with our D minor. Oh, let me just get my lyrics up so I can see what's happening. Here we go. Hello darkness, my old friend, see, I've come to talk to you again. That resolution. Because a vision soft. Now here's where we go to this B flat to F. 2 options. You can either do your barred B flat and drop back to an F like that. Or you could do your mini bar if you like, just barring the bottom 2 frets, 2 strings even of the 1st fret, up and over, and you can make that change like so, coming down to B flat, up to F, down to B flat, up to F. If you're doing straight 8s and you're really kind of concentrating your strum towards the top 2 or 3 strings, you can even get away with just doing a B flat major 7, or just hit this B flat major 7 shape, like that B7 we're doing in the last song, but pulled back here, and just hit the top 3 strings. A lot easier, right? Because you haven't got to do the bars. And then just follow it through, just those 4s, that 3 chord into the 6 chord, All right, see if you can follow the timing. I'll do one verse so you can get an idea. Let's do it in kind of slow motion. I'll stay on close, Cam. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. Really nice, right? Notice towards the end of that verse, as I got towards the end, I pushed a little bit harder. Of silence. You can really use that to add dynamics in this song. It's really nice. Even though it's quite a gentle song, it's really powerful, so worth doing. Interestingly, in Karen's Fascinating Facts, this was meant as a demo from Paul Simon to be played for other bands, but they ended up putting it on their first... I think the record company was so impressed with the demo that they got Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel to record it, and it was like their first hit. So it's kind of really important in Paul Simon's history, this song, which is interesting. So Indrani was just asking, do we have a suggestion for a picking pattern as well? Yeah, absolutely. What you can do, that picking pattern that you use for that intro, which will look and sound something like this. You can keep that going whilst you play chords if you like. It'll sound like this. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping. It's really great because notice you've got this almost like a recurring bass line on the middle two strings, and then this constant, almost like a drone note. You don't even need to touch the G string, so it's really cool. It's just thumb and index, so C string, index, E string, index, like a cycle. Really cool, right? So have a little experiment with that. What you could do, which would sound really nice, is doing a verse like that. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. And then the next verse, start introducing a strum. That would be really nice as well, wouldn't it? I'll probably keep the strum going just so everyone can see where they are, and it helps with the timing. It's a bit harder to tell when I'm finger picking. But yeah, absolutely. Now, we're not going to do any kind of soloing on this one because there's quite a lot going on with this one. Beautiful lyrics, really unusual phrasing, so it's quite difficult to sing this one. I'll take it. Hopefully I won't make too many mistakes. I usually do on this one because it's quite weird phrasing, but I'll do my best. And just see if you can follow it along. Just watch my fingers. I'll stay here. I'll just come up a little bit closer and just see if you can follow it along with me. Just watch those B flats to F so you know where you are, and let's give it our best shot. Hope you've really enjoyed yourselves tonight, guys. I've loved this one. It's so nice to be back. I really miss it when I'm away. So good to be back. Thanks for all your friendship and support, guys. I'll stick around at the end to answer any questions, but this is our last one for tonight. So let's do our little intro to get us going. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets of cobbled stone, 'neath the halo of a street lamp. Turn my collar to the cold and damp. When my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence. Build it up now, guys. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking, people hearing without listening, people writing songs, the voices never shared, no one dared disturb the sound of silence. Bring it down. Fools, I said, you do not know. Silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach you. But my words, like silent raindrops, fell, echoed in the wells of silence. The people bowed and they prayed to the neon gods they made, and the sign flashed out its warning in the words that it was falling, and the sign said the words of the prophets are written and terribles and whispered in the sound of silence. Oh man, I did so well and I mucked up the final verse. Ah, dagnammit, Matthew. For some reason, I always get that last verse wrong. It's all about the phrasing, or I missed out a line or something. But hopefully you guys were singing over the top and you didn't notice. And I got away with it. But there we go. It's one of those ones, the phrasing, it always catches me out on that final verse. Oh, one day I'll get it right. Well, I hope you really, really enjoyed that tonight. Isn't it interesting that I think even when you pick a set of songs by one group, you still can get lots of dynamism and interest and variety, which I think is what happened there tonight, hopefully. So I hope you enjoyed that as well. So, oh, and Karen was singing Art's part. Oh, I love it. I love it. I often use Art Garfunkel and Paul Simon as my examples when I'm teaching playing two-part melody. And I promise I'm not just doing this as a plug, but we're doing it in the next live lesson on Wednesday. So two-part harmony, you get a melody. Let's say it's, I don't know, Frere Jacques. Now you can imagine, say that was Paul Simon singing Frere Jacques, Frere Jacques. What you would do then, you would get Art Garfunkel. He would sing a note that's a third above. So a third above F is an A. Third above G is B or B flat, and third above a C is A. So we get this kind of, instead of That's Paul Simon, and then Art Garfunkel is going. When you combine them together, whoops, I'll do it again. That's it, isn't it? You get a really beautiful, simple melody. Frere Shaka, Frere Shaka. And you end up with something really beautiful. And so much music is based on these, what we call stacked thirds. You hear them in all sorts of music, and often you get these sixths which are a little bit further apart. And often like this. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you what we call these double stop, this way of kind of introducing a melody into your playing, so you end up with these really kind of beautiful harmonics, which is really, really gorgeous. And that's what we're going to look at this Wednesday if you're interested. And it all comes back to people singing and harmonizing. Same with the Everly Brothers. One of them sang the melody and the other one sang a third above. And then you had 3-part harmony. Often you'd have a melody a third above and a third below, and then when you get to the 4-part harmonies, then you get maybe a third above, third below, and the 5th. So you get this beautiful harmonic range, which is what the Beach Boys used to do as well. So just kind of, I just went off on the side there, but it's just kind of interesting. So yeah. Oh, great! Thanks, Jenny. I'm really glad to hear you enjoyed yourself. That's it. The words of the prophets are written on the tenement walls. I love that. I just think it's beautiful, isn't it? We kind of have tenements up in, I kind of think of them as like think of the big massive flats up in Scotland, in Glasgow, in over here. But yeah, I think of the New York tenements and stuff. It's very poetic, isn't it? It's almost quite beatnik, that, which I think is really cool. Makes me think of kind of Jack Kerouac's writing, or kind of Lawrence Ferlinghetti and that lot, which is great. Ah, I love it. That's so cool, Karen. My favourite's Bookends. I think it's just such a beautiful, gentle album. I absolutely love that. I've got most of Simon and Garfunkel stuff on vinyl. It sounds really lovely and warm on vinyl, which is lovely with their vocals. So, thank you. I hope I'm saying your word right. Kavina, is it? Oh, that's really great to hear. So, yeah, fantastic. Understanding, playing, drinking tea, following the chat. I love it. That's what it's all about. And even if you don't play every song, isn't it great just to meet everyone and chat along and get some new ideas? So I hope you really enjoyed it. So that's fantastic to hear. Thanks, Harry. And can we have another JPEG next time, Harry? We'll have, what will it be? Be 110 days, won't it, next Monday? That'd be brilliant. Thanks, Harry. Harry's won the Harry and Donna are arranging the ukulele cruise, just in case anyone wonders what I'm banging on about. Do come along if you can. It's going to be absolutely wonderful. Right, so I think that's me done for tonight. So I'll be back this Wednesday for our 2-part harmony lesson, 3:30. And we'll be back next Monday for another Kanikapila. Don't forget my play along, Lord and Master by Heron. Beautiful track, well worth checking out that, which is available on Facebook and all over the place as well. So all sorts of stuff. So yeah, check it out. And my first Beatles lesson, that will be available this Friday. That will be ready as well. So come and take part in that. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Well, I shall see you soon, everyone. Much love, happy ukin, and happy Kanikapila. Aloha.